Okay. Okay, so I'm on with Austin and Willie.
Okay.
So you should, I went back in and logged in again. And it put me, no, it put me on a different thing. Gave me a different option. Don't ask me why, but I think that's the only one that anybody else will see. There you go. No, I have to go through Zoom. All right, you're going through the town website for tonight's meeting? All right, what happened? There you are. Okay.
I guess it's just a matter of persistence, huh?
Yeah, I guess it is. Hanging up the phone.
Did you have issues getting in, Lynn? Because it was like another meeting in progress and then an invalid
Yes,
ID?
yes,
So I
yes.
got both
exactly.
errors. I got another meeting in progress and then I also got an invalid ID. But I
Great.
eventually just tried it again.
Yeah. So did
Here
I
we are.
with coaching from Paul.
We're meeting with each other so far.
Yeah. Well, it's great to see everybody. So, and thank you, Dave, for being here as well. I suppose that while we're waiting for people to come in, I suppose in order for me to review the minutes, we would actually have to call the meeting to order, which I think I will do because I have
Yeah, no reason why
some of this group. And I thank you, Austin, for sending the minutes of the
You're
last meeting.
I can take minutes tonight as well if you would like.
Oh, that would be lovely. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Really helpful. Anyway, did everyone have a chance to look at the minutes?
No, I didn't.
I'm gonna do that right now while we're waiting.
That's great. Thanks. I think I did see a note that Julie Tarmy would be joining us, but would be late to the meeting.
Okay.
I
And
think it's a busy
Nancy-
night.
Nancy will not be coming.
Nancy is not coming. That's right.
Yeah.
It is a busy night because there's Allison is attending the planning board meeting. Oops, I don't need that light. Oh, good. John Fulgham is here. So we have somebody joining us. It's so exciting.
John, you never got such a big welcome.
I know, really.
Took me a second to unmute myself.
Okay.
There you
Well,
go.
Happy to be here.
Yeah, it's good to see you, John.
See
So
you,
we're
John.
just having a moment where we're reviewing our minutes from the last meeting. And then we'll
Sound-
do a formal launch. But if
Sounds
everyone's
good.
looking at the minutes, thanks to Austin. Are there any comments on the minutes? They were short and sweet.
Well done, Austin.
Well, if they're so well done, can I get a motion to accept the minutes?
Just looking to the last bit of them.
Okay.
So if we're gonna take minutes of this meeting tonight, Lynn?
We do
Yeah.
because I make a report or we make a report from what we learned tonight. So,
Okay. So if that's the case, then Austin, next Community Preservation Committee meetings should include tonight's as well.
that's right.
Oh, it says public meeting. I see what you've done here.
It's a public
Yeah, I
meeting.
think I just put that on the next line.
Sure, I'll make that change.
All right, I've got a motion to accept the minutes.
You do.
Thank you. Could I get a second?
I'll second it.
Thank you, Dave. All in favor, roll call. Paul,
Aye.
Austin,
Aye.
Ellen,
I,
Dave,
Aye.
chair votes aye, minutes accepted. Now we can launch into the public meeting for tonight. So hello, everybody. I've got 2 participants and maybe more will be coming in. I want to welcome you. I'm Lynn Spencer. I am privileged to chair Nahant's Community Preservation Committee. With me tonight are committee participants, Paul Spurn, who's wiggling badly, but still
I'm
with
back
us. Paul is an at-large member, as is Austin Antrim and Ellen Goldberg. Dave Wilson is a representative of community housing. Absent tonight is Nancy Catalmo, who represents open space and recreation, and I represent the Historical Commission. We do have vacancies, and so we are looking for additional people who would be willing to join our efforts on behalf of Nahant. But for tonight, what I'd like to do is actually review the purposes and functions of community preservation, engage in a dialogue about about grant applications that you may have in mind, and then really talk about the kind of funding that we have for our projecting for the coming year, and some of the sort of specifics of what are allowable costs and the Nahant's 2-part community preservation grant process. So it sounds like a lot to cover, but actually so much of this is pretty well known to folks in Nahant, but I'll just sort of start with an overview. Community preservation was legislation that was passed by the Great General Court in 2001. In 2004, Nahant elected to join the program. And the basics of the program are that it's a real estate tax surcharge, which is then matched by state funding. The tax surcharge can be up to 3%, which Nahant elected to do, which put us in the highest category for state match. In the early years, the state was matching at 100%. In recent times, it had dropped to an average of 75%. Last year, it went as low as 40%, and we are actually continuing to project a 40% match for fiscal year 27. There are 3 purposes for community preservation, and 10% of the available funding needs to be allocated in each of these categories: community housing, open space and recreation, and historic preservation. In terms of the projections for the amount of funding that we will have in the coming year, we are projecting approximately $530,000 worth of revenue. That's our 3% surcharge with a 40% match. We do, however, have obligations. We have 3 bonds that represent obligations of around $218,000. We have a general reserve of with some interest that we've earned over the years of $116,000. So that would give us a net available funding of around $430,000. There is a housing reserve because we haven't spent all of that money over time, and that is now up to $104,000. So I know that's a lot to take in, but just to give you a sort of the framework of how the program functions in terms of funding. We are looking at a two-part eligibility process. We actually pioneered this last year, thanks to the efforts of Ellen Goldberg with Nancy Catalmo. It starts with an eligibility application, which is relatively simple. And that is due December 8th. And then the committee will review those applications on the 8th and then determine eligibility for the full application, which will be due January 30th. We have a aggressive schedule in order to actually make our recommendations to the FinCom and the advisory committee in time for town meeting. So with that, I'd like to actually ask Ellen if she would be kind enough to show the eligibility application on the screen.
I would be happy to. Let me just pull it up. I actually have it on my screen. It's a PDF and it's on the town website. It is supposed to be on the project submissions and forms page, but they did not get the link up, so that will be up there tomorrow. I'm going to share my screen and you can see it is a one-page eligibility. Am I going to be at that?
Ellen, is there a possibility you can show them the path to get there from the town website?
Well, it's I went looking for it again
Yes, I
and
know.
they
Yeah.
removed the link, but I Googled it and found it myself. So I know it's alive on the town website, but the link is not on the project submissions and forms page where it's supposed to be.
Is there a possibility of sneaking in the back door via some CPC connection?
Yes, absolutely. And I have that link saved and available to do just that so that
Okay.
people can get to it today, but it should be visible on
Okay.
the website. But
So
I
there's
do
more
have
than
that
one way
link.
to-
I will show
more than
them
one way
that.
to get there.
Yeah,
All right.
no, thank you very much, Paul. I actually saved that link in case I was gonna have the opportunity to share that. So here it is right here. It's a very simple application. You've got some basic information up front. You're gonna check off which category you're interested in, describe how you meet the CPA category criteria, give us a brief description, the anticipated amount of funding, and you're going to email it to nahantcpc@gmail.com. At that point, we will have it forwarded directly to the committee members, and we will start the review of eligibility, as Lynn said, on December 8th. So this is
Ellen,
not,
Can I ask for some clarification here?
you
You
can
say it's to be emailed.
emailed.
Just
Yes,
a
thank
click
you.
on that, or do you have to print it and do something with it? Save.
You would, I mean, it depends obviously on what you want to do. It's just a PDF. So if you have, if you are unable to like type on a PDF, if you can't put text edits into your PDF, then yes, you would have to print it and scan it. But it's pretty easy. You know, most people are able to type on PDFs in my experience, but if you can't, you can certainly print it out, and then write it by
Okay.
hand and then scan
But
it.
hopefully you'll be able to type on this PDF and then save the finished version and then send it to that email address as an attachment.
Correct.
Okay.
Okay. And this might be a good time to sort of take a pause and actually show eligible allowable costs.
Okay.
Because one of the reasons we have this two-part process is that we want to make sure that the applicants are consistent with the CPA objectives and allowable costs.
Is
And
this what
thank you, Ellen. Perfect timing.
Yeah, the grid.
This is the important grid. And basically, it says, even though I can't read it, but yeah, let's make it a little bit bigger.
Yeah, let me get the
Basically, in
pictures
each
out of the way here.
category, it sort of suggests, what are allowable costs. So for instance, under open space, it is possible to actually create open space with acquisition. It is possible to actually, if you,
Go the other way, Ellen.
yeah.
There you
Yeah,
go.
if you, thank you, Paul, if you actually, so we can look at acquisition, we can actually look at creation, which seems a lot like acquisition. We can look at preservation to protect personal or real property from injury, harm, or destruction. We can actually work to rehabilitate existing sort of recreational resources on open space, and we've certainly have done a fair amount of that in the town of Nahant. So again, we can sort of scroll through the chart and just be very clear about what is eligible per category. Again, historic preservation, we can acquire, we can preserve, and we can rehabilitate. Same thing is true with the recreation, which actually is I was treating as a subset of open space. And then we have also the ability to acquire, create, and rehabilitate community housing. What we cannot do is, for instance, fund a music program or an art exhibit. Those are certainly worthy activities. They can be the domain of, for instance, the Nahant Cultural Council, rather than this grant program. So for our applicants, potential applicants who are in the room, are there any questions about this particular chart?
I have this Mark Paddock. And John Fojem and I are both here for the Nahant Sailing Program.
Mhm.
On the overall summary page on the website says recreation, and this chart says recreation land, which seems to be a subset of recreation. And it's not, and water isn't land. So I could describe what we have in mind, and which we think qualifies. And there was a similar grant done about 10, 12 years ago in Situate. Is that the sailing program over the years is collected or gotten 6 used Rhodes 19s quite a while ago, and they were all used, and we've been maintaining them as best we can, replacing broken masts, sails, equipment, and keeping them up. And they're a critical part of our Learn to Sail program. So when the youngest kids come into the sailing program, which is usually second graders and third graders, the boat they go in is a Rhodes 19 because it can hold 4 or 5 or 6, even 4 or 5 kids and 6, and an instructor and maybe a CIT helping them. And we've gotten to the point now where our boats need major surgery to stay alive. Ribs and stuff in the hull are rotting, and it's beyond the committee's ability to fix some of these. And so the thought we had, and we do get some capital funding from the town now, and we have Friends of Nahant Sailing, which is a fundraising nonprofit that helps. We're not interested in getting new Rhodes 19s. The newest Rhodes 19 costs $48,000, just as a totally refurbished, brand new one from the manufacturer. I was looking it up today. 1988 one, the company in Maine that makes the best ones, that's 20,000 or almost 20,000. And we've had experience over the years where you find people that are going to sell them that are still in reasonably good condition. And so the idea would be to do a 6-year grant of about 8,000 to 10,000 a year, half funded by CPC and half funded by either our use of the town's capital or Friends of Nahant Sailing. because we know this program likes to have a match from the community or others in the community. So that's the general one. But when I look at the wording, I wasn't sure it does qualify. So I guess that's our kind of our major question. We're happy to do the work and put it together and the rationale and how many kids and all that kind of work. But reading recreational land makes it sound like because our recreation is on the water, maybe it doesn't qualify.
Well, if you actually read down, Mark,
Yeah.
and go down, and again, the chart is you can actually rehabilitate recreation. Now, I appreciate the land versus water part of this.
Right.
And so part of, and I love that distinction, although the boats are on land sometimes.
Yeah, they are. They're definitely in the heart on the land most of 10 months of the year.
So it's good to hear that Situate, which is a town I know quite well, has had some success in similar funding. Part of the reason why we do the eligibility process is to actually be able to check in with our friends at the Community Preservation Coalition. So that's exactly what we would do. We would take your one-page form and send it along to Stuart Saganor, he's the wonderful director of this program, and do a consultation. If they say yes, green light, then we would get back to you and say, okay, now the full application is going to be due. And
You know,
certainly,
I would think there's another way to work around that if we don't get the answer that Mark and John are looking for. And that might be for them to take something which is eminently fundable, like a dock or a clubhouse or anything like that, that needs work, and direct money away from that, which they would otherwise have put there, and let them put their money into the boats and ask us for some of our money for something which might meet criteria more closely. What do you think?
Well, the problem is that the town provides the building,
right.
Uh-huh.
which is, I guess the CPC helped fund the whole new wharf buildings quite a while
Yeah.
before I lived.
Right.
And,
Yeah, we
and the
certainly
dock we
did.
use is the Dory Club's float,
Okay.
which is kind of the Dory Club contribution to the sailing program is the use of the float. It's probably one of the major users of it. So, when I Googled boats on the website search site, that's where I found the Situate. Most of them tend to be boat ramps and
Yeah, that's
things
what I was
like-
thinking.
Yeah, which didn't work for us, but I did find the Situate, which was repairing. Theirs was more of a refurbishing their existing 6 boats that they had.
That's interesting. Okay, well, now you've
That
got a
was
precedent.
2015, so it's been a while. but-
Okay, good to know.
Yeah,
the
so-
precedent.
Yeah, it seems like the filling out the, initial form and finding out from the state if, used boats, or I guess, we don't have the money for new boats, but to buy high quality used boats, if we could use the CPC matching funds to facilitate that, that's I guess our core question. I mean,
Yep.
our main capital needs for the program are boats, We're talking about the Rhodes 19s now that are used for, the intro level youth classes, and also used in the Tuesday and Thursday night evening classes for adults. So they kind of we kind of picked that boat because they're, as Mark said, they're kind of at the core of the program and span both the kids and the adults. And, to your point, Paul, so our main expense for the program on an annual basis is the youth salaries. And so those are primarily funded through program fees with a bit of money thrown in from the town. Last year was the first year that, in conversations with Tony and Allison, we were able to understand that the town had some capacity for some level of commitment to capital expenses for the program, which allowed us to kind of potentially shift our 501c3 money that sits in Friends of Nahant Sailing away from capital towards salaries, if that makes any sense. So we were initially looking for a way to kind of beef up the salary line item. The town couldn't help us with that, but they could help us a bit with capital, which freed up F&S money if needed for salaries. So now we're kind of back into the puzzle of, can we somehow maximize the fundraising ability of Friends of Nahant Sailing towards capital and also parlay CPC. So I think Mark did a great job of explaining it, and I probably just rambled. But
No, but I think that it was an example that last year when we got the agreement on the capital, and when the day the program was supposed to start, or a day or so before, we discovered that one of our old motors totally could not function. And the sailing program has been helped by Jeff Hall for many, many years, who can repair almost any engine and has been keeping them all running. We asked when we were going for funding to the town several years ago, we said if we didn't have Jeff Hall, we'd need to raise another $35,000 to $40,000 a year for which it would cost if we had to hire somebody to come in and fix motors and things. But anyway, because we had that capital, we could make an almost instantaneous purchase to bring in an engine, so we had enough safety boats on the water for the start of the class, which is kind of one of the priorities. So it's kind of how we've been working. But and as John said, the salaries was a problem. And the year before, we actually, Friends of Nahant Sailing had to fund about that, where we took out of our historic money to almost 10,000. We were off. The last year we managed to get the salaries and the tuitions matched up. And our tuitions are a little bit lower than anything else around, but they're not cheap, especially for parents putting their kids into class for the summer. It's still $500 or so.
So how many instructors do you have?
But was it 19, 20, counting CITs? So the CITs are free, but it's 19, and they're all Nahant kids pretty much. A few that are grandparents live in Nahant and they live in Marblehead or something, a couple of family in Swampscott, but it's all kind of local kids for an instructor. And we did get some help with putting in a more senior person, which has been another problem. So that one, we were able to pay a little more. Otherwise, they're paid by the hour, and so the town is kind of limited because they've got people working for DPW and others, and that are getting paid by the hour. So that their salaries by the hour also put a limit on what they want to see us pay the kids.
Okay. So just going back to this, you
Mhm.
were talking about 6 years of $8,000 to $10,000 a year?
Yeah, so the idea was to replace one boat every year for 6 years. So that would be, each boat would cost us, we're figuring we should be able to get a boat that's in reasonably good shape, use some of our existing sales in the $8,000 to $10,000 range. So that, and then the CPC would be funding half of that. So was our idea.
So
Yeah,
how
I mean-
much would you be asking CPC for?
Say 5,000 times 6 years, so 30,000 from the CPC over 6 years.
And why do you want to stretch it out over 6 years?
Just to be economical, I guess. I mean, if you
Yeah.
replace them and finding them too is part of it, but.
Yeah, I mean, we've had pretty, well, I would say plans on paper to kind of have a steady and consistent rotation of our fleet, both the motorboats, which we have, I think, 6, and then, we have 6 Rhodes 19 sailboats that we're talking about now. We have 8 420 sailboats, and we have 16 Optimus sailboats. So it's a complex organization, and you know,
Yeah.
when you know, our good friend Philip Kirsten was in town, you know, he's a German project planner, and he had us mapped out to kind of replace boats methodically and on a kind of predictable schedule. And we've kind of gotten away from that. We tend to oscillate into a, you know, when things break, we fix them, and we have our eyes out for the bargains if we see them. But the 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 best way we think to go about it would be to be more consistent and predictable in terms of the schedule. So that's why we've kind of come up with this, you know, 5-6 year framework.
So I will say that to stretch it out, I appreciate the thinking behind it, but I am concerned that we could not actually necessarily obligate future programs, you know, this year for 6 years.
Got it. So would you, so I mean, we could almost use this year as a, well, I mean, we're obviously starting off on this and trying to figure out if it's even feasible. But if let's say instead of picking one boat this year, we picked 2 boats for this year and tried to replace 2 and had a single application that was for the coming fiscal year for 2 boats, 50% CPC, 50% fundraised. And then if that worked, then we could, in theory, next year submit a similar application. Is that kind of, would that make more sense? Like a repetitive cycle through independent applications rather than one application that spans multiple cycles?
I think it's going to be something we as a committee would like to discuss, but honestly, if I were you, I'd go in for $30,000 that you may not spend in the first year, but you would have, with our program, you have, you know, we can give you 3 years to spend it. But this way, we'd be obligating the money.
Okay,
That's
that
good.
makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's helpful.
And committee, you know, I'd love to hear if my fellow committee members have any observations to also share on that front. Or are we the only ones in the room?
Oh, I'm here.
Okay, good. Okay, good.
No, Lynn, that sounds reasonable. Especially if this meeting is an indicator of the amount of applications we'll get. May have a good shot.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, I think some of our familiar applicants are probably thinking, oh, they could do something else tonight, Austin, but you never know. But we know that the town of Nahant will be coming in with something. They always do. But I think this is an interesting thing to me to see if we can get, you know, a CPA approval for the application. And I'm glad that we've got some precedent with the Situate program. So that's hopeful.
But your idea, there's another advantage to your idea, which is there are occasionally you have sailing programs that are switching boats.
Yeah.
So you get 2 or 3 or might be available at one time.
Yeah.
That are still in decent condition. I mean, we're definitely not going to try to buy new ones from from the Stewart Marine, but we do have. I mean, we've seen other boats. In fact, we got 2 Fivas from a similar situation with a fleet in Florida with one of our experimental boats that John he drove down and got the boats from. Down there. Yeah, but that happens, and I've seen a couple other fleets that they've said, "Hey, we're getting rid of our fleet. Does anybody, you know, want these boats?" So,
Lynn, I have a quick question for these gentlemen. How many people are we looking at? Children and adults? for this program?
The overall, it usually is around 100 the last few years. It used to be more, but we've still, between adults and kids, it's approximately 100. So in these particular boats, last year, we had 13 in the Learn to Sail program. The Opti program, which is the next one, they use the boats one day a week. That was another 15, and then there were 20 adults using them in the evenings. And
So-
we're hoping to increase this year because we're working with a new principal who is we just learned today is a boater, and to try to get more of the second and third graders. The COVID thing is still rippling through. One of the problems with the number of kids in the program, but Josh Antrim and Lydia are going to help. We're trying to get more of the second and third graders into the program this year.
So another quick question, if I could.
Mhm.
So this is a fee-based program, right?
Yes,
That is going towards, instructions.
yeah. I mean, it's about break even on that. Yes. Mhm.
I'm sorry, Dave, what was your question?
Mhm.
What
This is
proportion
a
goes to
fee-based
salaries?
program, right? And how much of this fee base covers the cost of the instruction?
Almost all of the money that we get through fees goes to instruction. We have traditionally relied on the portion of money that the town gives us from the parking stickers and through another, I don't remember the amount now, but it's more than 5,000, less than 10,000 that the town gives us. And the capital in the past has primarily come through the Friends of Nahant Sailing 501c3 nonprofit. So we raise money there and then have traditionally spent money for new boats or engines from the 501c3. So it's paid for by Friends of Nahant Sailing and immediately donated to the town. So they become town assets. The capital becomes the town's capital, and the town insures it, and the town's responsible for it. But it's in the past traditionally paid for by Friends of Nahant Sailing. Generally, last year we again got a bit of a commitment from the town to help us with capital, so that's changing a bit. But the general framework in the past has been the program fees cover salaries, capital comes from other places.
And it's around $50,000, $50,000 of salary and tuition being really close.
Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. Committee members, any other questions or concerns about what you've heard from Mark and John?
Lynn, let me ask you a kind of an associated question. Is there any reason why someone who is proposing a project for this year would not be could not be a candidate to join the committee as a full-fledged committee member? And if that were a problem, what would they have to do to make themselves available to serve on the committee?
Paul, I have
That's
to
a
actually
hypothetical question.
congratulate you on one of the more convoluted ways of saying, Mark Paytek, since you're a member of the Conservation Commission, would you consider joining this committee? Thanks,
And the
Paul.
sailing program committee. I think I'm doing enough for the town, those two, Paul.
Oh, come on. So, this is one of the joys of being on this committee is actually reviewing applications and helping make recommendations for grants to, willing and deserving applicants. and then getting the town meeting to approve it. Mark, there's nothing nicer than doing this. I'm telling you.
Yeah, we really cover it. But I'll be doing the music and I'll be doing votes.
I know, yes, I realize that. No, what Paul's referring to is that we
Yeah.
actually had made a list of possible, people who could consider joining us, and there were 2 Marks from the Conservation Commission, and
Oh.
you just happen to be the Mark in the room right now.
Okay.
Mark in the room.
Well, the Conservation Commission is also looking for somebody. So.
Oh, I know. Well, all right, Paul, I thank you for
I
bringing the
really
question up.
appreciate the guidance, though. We
You
were
can
hoping-
just think
yeah.
about it, Mark.
Yes.
Yeah,
okay.
just think about it.
Sure.
Just think about it. Let me see. John and Mark, do you have any other potential grant applications up your sleeves you want to share with us?
No,
Nope. Okay. Well, let's see. It's 7:43. Do we have anyone else in the waiting room, or?
Geez, I hope not, but I don't know how to check that. Ellen, do you know how to check if somebody's waiting out there?
Yeah, you would have to go to the list of participants and you would be able to see the waiting room. I'm also gonna see if I don't think I'm allowed to share a chat. I wanted to send the see if I can chat.
There's just 7 participants. Over
It's
on
just 7. I'm just looking at it right now on the chart on the
yeah, that
I-
link came through.
Great. So
Yep.
that is the link to just directly to the PDF.
Got it.
Which needs to have its face on the page with CPC project submissions and forms, which I swore, and I double checked my instructions and it was on my instructions and they said, we got your instructions, we made all the changes, but I don't see it on there. And I was out of town last week.
It looks like it's originally a Google Docs. If you sent a Google document, I mean, not Google, Word, a Word document. So if you could,
That was the application.
Yeah,
It was the application, then we moved that to a form. We're making progress every year.
well, that one I know you can type in. So, I mean, if it's a Word document.
Right.
Mm.
Next year, this will all be online. That's my promise.
Well, Ellen, we are very appreciative of what you've been doing to make this process move along. Believe me,
Thank
very
you.
appreciative.
Next year, even better, but
Okay.
you've got a
that's-
PDF this year.
Well, gosh, folks, I don't know if we just sort of hang out a little bit longer or we.
Well, we can
So-
leave and then you can have your own private meeting.
Yeah.
Well, John and Mark, you are very welcome to continue with us.
No,
or
that's fine.
Go into another well,
We have we all have another meeting in 2 days, so we gotta.
we do,
try to
we
budget
do.
our time.
And besides, the American Revolution, I'll remind you, is on tonight.
Yeah,
and
that's
it was
right,
Pretty
yeah.
good starting
It
last
was.
night, so we don't want to
Yeah,
miss.
Yeah, well, thank you very much.
All right, thank you. Thanks a lot.
You
Appreciate
guys
your
are
guidance.
an amazing crew and we appreciate your
Yeah.
thoughts and guidance and hopefully we can work together on this. If we can't, that's fine too, but it'd be great if we could.
Well, thanks for
Great,
coming
thanks-
forward,
thanks
and
for
thank you for
joining
your
us.
service.
Good.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Thank
thank
you.
you.
Thanks.
Good night, guys.
Night.
All right,
Good
good
night.
night.
We're gonna leave. Leave, you know.
So, folks, just while I've got you for a little bit longer, we could just talk a few minutes more. You saw perhaps if you had time, I sent out the chart that was showing the obligations. I did just plug in that $30,000 for the open space master plan. And I have communicated with Allison about that. So the town will be applying for that again. Oh, thank you, Ellen. The town will be applying for that They probably will also be applying for additional funding for the handicap ramp at Town Hall, which is projected as being needing more budget, and I think we
Right.
really do need to make that happen. 'Cause we need to get that in compliance, quite honestly. I also had forwarded the Community Preservation Coalition kind of their newsletter that was talking about this sort of lowering of state match, or the state of state match, which is actually being impacted by slower activity, considerably slower activity, and registry of deed activity, as well as more communities joining the program. But the fact that we are a 3% community does put us in the best kind of sort of,
So in other words, when you have more communities, it just basically spreads the pot thinner. Is that it?
it dilutes the pot. And the main thing is it's real estate activity, but in the last couple of years, the state was also putting additional sort of, money into the pot
I see.
through their through line item work. So we're lower than we have been in the past, but it's still at 40%. It's nothing to sneeze at.
I mean,
I
the
will-
money has done a lot of good over the years for the town. A lot,
Well,
I mean,
Well, without it, the town would not be looking after their buildings. They
Right.
would not have been putting the money into the wharf that we have put into the wharf, or Short Beach, or a lot of other things, so.
exactly.
Not to mention the library.
I did
And there
see,
is the library.
the library work has started.
Yes, I saw the lift out front,
has,
very
yeah.
exciting. So Austin, I just was thinking, we could just have that lift trundle over to the flagpole at Town Hall and have them take care of it.
Just borrow it at night, get up there. That's a good idea.
Just right across the street. But yeah, well, I will sort of, I want to give Allison a chance to get through this the special town meeting and all of that. But I do want to encourage the spending of the money that have already been allocated. So I am concerned that the northeastern situation is looking like there's some positives, that there's going to be some forward activity on this. And so I am concerned that we actually be careful about our obligations in view of the $1.5 million bond that is actually on, we've already passed, and there'll be at some point in the foreseeable future, we fingers crossed, there'll be the need to sort of make use of it.
Lynn, do you, off the top of your head, what would the yearly obligation for that be? Do you remember?
It's awful to say off the top of my head, but I do recall that this was going to be a 30-year bond, so it's a long-term bond. That's why I'm a little concerned about, future obligations. But it was starting out at about $90,000 a year.
Okay.
So. Well,
I just want to apologize for not catching that until today. I was out of town for a funeral late last week. So I was down in DC for a couple of days, and I still have to respond to our other applicant, and I really could have sworn that they did everything I asked, but it doesn't look like they put the link on that page, and I'm so confused about it because I was like, I double checked my instructions, and it says just change the file name, but the link is gone. So I just need to get that straightened out. I emailed them because I was ready to share my screen and show the link, and I was like, it's not on here, right?
no, that's.
Yeah, so I apologize for not catching a couple of those things. Last week was kind of, yeah, was what it was.
Well, Ellen, I'm sorry for the experience, the loss and the kind of complication that
Yeah.
is made in your life, but I'm very grateful for your attention to this, so.
Thanks. Yeah.
Well, honestly, folks, I think at this point we should just sort of say good evening.
Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn sounds good to me.
I second.
All right, all in favor?
Uh,
Aye.
Okay,
I.
all right,
All right, bye, everybody.
bye.
Good night.
See you on the 8th.
yes.
Okay, all right, very good.
Goodbye.
Oh,
Bye-bye.
happy Thanksgiving.